Good morning and welcome to a special edition of Farming Today this week. Normally, we look back over the week. Today, we're looking back over 30 years.
It's just started to rain again, so we'll make our way into the house. Oh, goodness, you've had to pile the furniture up, haven't you?
It's getting dark, the stars are coming out, but also coming out in the strawberry fields are these small archways on wheels, robots.
And it's very relaxing, isn't it, out here?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I normally stay till it's going dark and you see the foxes and the rabbits. It's amazing, honestly.
That report from Hugh O'Donnell in Lancashire. And that reminds me of a strange sight I came across a few weeks ago after coming off Great Gable in the Lake District. A heifer standing on top of a dry stone wall. Maybe it was just checking to see if the grass was greener on the other side.
Now, what all those clips have in common is Anna Hill. Anna has been presenting Farming Today for 30 years. She started on this programme in 1995. So today we thought we would celebrate that and look back over Anna's 3 decades on this programme. Anna is with me. Welcome.
Hello, Charlotte.
Congratulations, I think.
Oh, thank you very much.
How did you become a Farming Today presenter in the first place?
Well, it was serendipitous, I have to say, yes. I had come up through local radio as a reporter and a producer, and I did a sort of sideways move, and I came to Radio 4 as an announcer, reading the shipping forecasts and the news. And I think they were actually looking for someone who could do both journalism and be live on air, and shut up when they needed to, and shut contributors up when they needed to. It was very precise. You know, we were on at 6:10 in the morning, finishing at 26 minutes past 6. So I had to be able to do all that and be live on air and hold it all together.
Let's have a listen back to one of the first bits we could find of you in the archive.
I'm dreading this.
I think this is one of your first programmes. It comes from 1995.
Good morning. An act of extreme vandalism was carried out early this week when 2,500 vines were destroyed on Exmoor. It followed a dispute over a farmer's bird scarer used on his vines in the village of Wootton Courtney. The farmer, Derek Pritchard, had been cleared in court of breaching noise orders. But after the ruling, a group of people under cover of night chopped down the vines, causing damage estimated at £55,000. Mr Pritchard said his Chardonnay crop is ruined, but he hopes to save some of his Kernling and Dornfelder grapes.
Anna, 2 things occur to me listening to that. One is, did we all sound rather posher and more precise back in the 90s?
I think we possibly did, didn't we? But actually, I think partly because I came from presentation, I still have that newsreadery type voice in my head. That did slip away over the years, thank goodness. But yeah, it does sound really posh, doesn't it?
The other thing that really struck me was you're talking about wine. Now, we both spent quite a lot of time in the last few years talking about wine, but as a relatively new thing. But no, it wasn't.
No. Well, some of these things have been around for years, haven't they? And I think actually that's one of the things about farming. You always think you're talking about something new, but actually it's not new, you know.
The programme was different then, wasn't it? How has it changed over the years you've been involved?
I think it has changed. It's become much more focused. So the really big change was that we stopped being live. When we went to 6:45 in the morning, which is the time we're on now, we did it for a while as a live programme, but we couldn't get contributors to come on. Even politicians were rather doubtful about getting up to come on for 6:45. And also, you know, I was quite far half asleep, you know, at that time in the morning. So I think that was the main change. And because we were pre-recorded the night before, we could tailor the programme a little bit more. And the other thing that came in was having our theme of the week. And that was quite important to find that we had something running through the week. We could look at something in a little bit more depth and take different sides of the same story throughout the week. So cover it a little bit more fully.
The other big change, of course, has been geographical. Because we're actually sitting at this moment at Broadcasting House in London, which is where you would have started on Farming Today, but we're now based in Bristol.
Indeed, or when I started, we were where we are as third floor now. We were 2 floors up, 5th floor, broadcasting house, old broadcasting house. I walked in on the first day, opened the door to the office, and I was greeted by a wonderful picture of the back ends of 2 rams. And it was a poster from a wonderful magazine called Seaman World. I went into the morning meeting. I couldn't understand a word anyone was saying. I mean, it was
agricultural jargon is something else, isn't it? Then you went to Birmingham.
Yes, we went to Pebble Mill. And Pebble Mill, which no longer exists, was quite a ramshackle, huge building. But we were there as well with the Archers, which was interesting because you could sit in the canteen and you'd suddenly hear Peggy saying something at the other end of the room, which was rather nice.
And then to Bristol.
Yes.
Sometimes called the Faculty of Farming because we're in these old Victorian buildings.
Well, I have to admit, you see, I'm not based in Bristol. I am based in Norfolk and I live in Norwich, and I do everything from my home in Norfolk. When we moved to Bristol, actually it was decided, I think, that it was better for me to stay in Norfolk. I'm surrounded by wonderful farmers and I have all those stories around me and I can contribute from there.
I think now you pretty much know every single farmer in East Anglia because you are on a farm most weeks, aren't you?
Well, I do get out a lot. Yeah, that's good. And it is wonderful, actually. And Norfolk farmers, I have to say, well, not just Norfolk, but East Anglia, a lot of them are really leading farmers and really good business people as well. So you can usually find someone who'll give you a pretty robust view on things.
Let's hear from just 3 of them.
Something magical, isn't there, about seeing fresh potatoes being lifted out of the ground like that?
Absolutely, especially when you see them coming out as clean as they are.
Oh my goodness, look at that. I can't believe it. This lorry has a lift in it, so the pigs are lying down, absolutely relaxed as possible. And now we've got to make them come out of that beautiful warm lorry. Come on, girls. They had a hydraulic lift taking them down from the top layer down to the ground floor.
You've got the boys next.
Well, they're quite big, these ones, aren't they? Look at that. The clouds aren't lowering exactly, but there is a mistiness in the air. Let's go into the crop and have a look. You have to get the timing right, because these peas, and we'll just open one up in the pods here. And that's the sound
perfect.
You want, isn't it?
Yeah,
the
perfect.
Pop
Yeah, no pop.
the
Yes,
lovely
yeah.
pop. And look at those peas, and I'm going to try a couple because I love peas. Oh, sweet as anything, aren't they?
Go on, who were they?
There was Kit, then Peter, and then Richard.
I didn't think you'd know who they
As
were.
I was listening to that, I was going, oh, yeah, I remember that now. I've forgotten most of it, of course, over the 30 years, but I do remember when I hear it. Yeah, lovely.
I think this is the great thing. One of the great things about our job is that you do cover the warp and weft of everyday farming life and then obviously the really big stories. I think probably the first big story you'd have tackled would have been mad cow disease. This is from 1995.
Almost 1 person in 4 has been deterred from eating beef because of fears about BSE or mad cow disease, according to a BBC consumer programme. Researchers who conducted a survey into public attitudes to beef found there was significant concern.
Right, well, we've listened to both sides of the argument and we've made our decision on the basis that there's no firm evidence to say that beef is safe and there's no firm evidence to say it's unsafe, so we've decided to go in the middle and ban it from the menu.
The Agriculture Minister Douglas Hogg was at the Women's Farming Union annual conference in London yesterday to reassure delegates that he was doing everything possible to protect human health.
Whether we believe that the disease is transmittable from animals to humans, our best view is that we do not think it is transmittable. Moreover, such scientific evidence as there is positively reinforces that position.
What do you remember about all that?
It was really odd because we were doing something slightly different from the rest of the media. So the media was showing the same pictures of one cow falling over many, many times. We were looking at the science. We looked at all the ins and outs. Our editor then was John Harvey, who gave evidence actually to the inquiry. And he was intent on getting to the bottom of the science behind the disease and why it had happened. Now, not many people talked about why it had happened apart from in the industry. There was also massive trade implications, that trade in beef stopped completely, and that caused really big problems.
The other thing that really dominated around this time in 2001 was foot and mouth.
About 4 o'clock on Tuesday, I visited this farm and I just had a quick look at the cattle and, well, it was a quick look, you didn't need to look anymore, they were foaming, terrible at the mouth.
Today's probably been among the worst days of my working life anyhow. Mum came out and just before I was about to milk, she told me that the news had been announced that within a 2-mile radius of all the outbreaks of foot and mouth, all of the animals were going to be taken off farms or slaughtered and disposed of whether they'd had foot and mouth or not.
We've all been disinfecting and minimising journeys and keeping children from school and doing absolutely everything we can to contain the disease. Now it seems that it didn't really matter, they're to be slaughtered anyway.
Today we have an exclusive interview with the Prime Minister, Tony Blair. As hundreds of thousands of sheep are buried in Cumbria and the foot and mouth outbreak spreads into the Lake District, farmers and others are still asking why the disease hasn't been brought under control.
When you're having to take a small veterinary service in a particular area and suddenly upgrade it for the type of operation that it now needs in places like Cumbria and Devon, it is a huge practical logistical exercise. Now, we have moved in logistics teams from the army. We've put on a whole new control centre in each of these main areas that are affected. It takes some time to gear up to that.
It's still not being done, though. Your epidemiologists have told you that the disease must be nipped in the bud. As soon as an animal is identified, it should be slaughtered. That still isn't happening. In fact, the disease is running away before you, isn't it?
No, I don't think that's true. I think it's unfair to say that the 24-hour policy is not being pursued. It is being pursued. In most cases, that is now happening.
The then Prime Minister Tony Blair in 2001 talking to Anna Hill about foot and mouth. Anna, if you're anything like me, you will never forget that time.
It was so shocking to see the pyres of animals being burnt, to know that whole swathes of the countryside were affected, and the countryside closed down, of course. I went up to Penrith to see the operations up there with the army who'd been brought in to handle it all. But actually, it was more about the individual farmers and some of those voices there that you heard. And a lot of people talked about the countryside being silent. You know, the farmyards were silent, the hills were silent. I did an On Your Farm programme, that's a Sunday longer programme, with a woman from Oxfordshire who was distraught because her cattle had been destroyed in what was called a contiguous cull. That's when they culled around an area to stop the disease spreading. We stood outside in the freezing cold doing the programme. That was fine. We went indoors, and in the sitting room, her 5-year-old son was playing with a train set, and he had some open carriages at the back, and he had farm animals, and he had put the farm animals, the sheep and the cows, upside down with their legs sticking up in those carriages. And I said, well, what are you doing? I talked to him, and he said, oh, they're going to be burnt. And his mum just looked at me and shook her head, and you could just see the impact.
And what do you remember about interviewing the Prime Minister?
I was in Birmingham and he was in London, so I couldn't see him. And actually, on a slightly lighter note, I have to say, it was lucky he couldn't see me. I was 6 months pregnant with my first child, and I couldn't get enough air. The adrenaline was going. And so in the end, I had to kneel down on the ground at the table to sort of release, you know, I couldn't sit crunched up in the chair. And also, Nick Brown, who was the farm minister at the time, kept saying, we must bear down on the disease. That didn't help.
You're listening to Farming Today this week, where we are celebrating Anna Hill, who has been presenting Farming Today for 30 years. Anna, I'm going to talk about the weather because it does dominate your life to a certain extent.
Am I allowed to say yay?
Yeah, well, you can't do this job and not own waterproof trousers, can you?
Yeah, do you know, the worst thing is when you're recording outdoors, you're not really moving around an awful lot, are you? And you do get very, very cold. I know we've both invested in very insulated boots, haven't we? And, you know, if you forget your gloves, that's it, isn't it? Because the microphones are metal. But farmers, actually, they'll be standing there talking to you. They won't bat an eyelid. We'll be standing there shivering, asking the questions, and they'll just be going, get on with it.
We're just drifting up gently now. Hello, Mr. Goodwin.
Hello.
How are you coping?
Fed up.
Yeah.
Absolutely fed up. Nothing to do, is there? You're just walking around looking at water and keeping the stock dry, and that's it.
So here they are. All your cows are indoors.
Well, we brought them in just before this rain came, and now we've had to put half of them back out again.
Now, that very weather-based programme, obviously, is also an award-winning programme, recorded in the floods near Wrexham in 2001, and it won a Sonny Gold, that's sort of a radio Oscar, for our sister programme On Your Farm.
We're in the bedroom, and with me is Pamela, George, Ian, Goodwin, and mother-in-law Gladys. Are you a Goodwin as well, Gladys?
Oh, yeah.
You're a Goodwin. Jolly good. We're here in the bedroom because this is really the only place where the family's living at the moment. And so it's not just a bedroom because there's a table at the end of the bed here which has food on it. I can see there's a bottle of vinegar on the dressing table and a can opener on the dressing table. On the other side table, on the other side of the bed, is a pile of plates. So Pamela, this is your house at the moment, isn't it? It's one room.
Yes, this is our house and this is my mum-in-law's bedroom, but we've all invaded it for the duration of the flood.
You all seem pretty jolly about it at the moment, but it's really quite a devastating event, isn't it?
It is devastating, but we're a family. We've faced all sorts of things, you know, over the years, and you get through anything better if you keep your spirits up a bit, don't you?
Aren't you afraid that this is going to become a more regular occurrence?
Yeah, we don't want it to become a regular occurrence, do we?
But we start getting afraid of it becoming a more regular occurrence if it happens another 2 or 3 times within the next few years. And in that case, we'll have to do something different, won't we?
Would you seriously think about having to go?
No.
Oh no, not going.
No, not going.
Finding a
just
way.
altering things to accommodate what we're getting.
Oh, we're not going from here. This is our home.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
It was quite shocking, actually. We had to get there by boat. And as they said, we were up in the bedroom where everyone else was. And, you know, just to think about those cows standing knee-deep in water and, it was just hopeless. You just felt as if actually probably their farming life had ended for a bit. I'm sure it started up again afterwards, but yeah, no, it was really quite distressing. When I won the award, though, afterwards, one of the judges said to me, he said, "Oh, you do know why you won, don't you?" And I said, "Oh, no, why?" He said, "Because you shut up and you just listened."
Which is part of the art of it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We do a lot of nodding, like you're doing now, Charlotte. You're nodding at me. We do a lot of nodding to encourage people to keep going, and we let people tell their story. That is the biggest asset of radio, listening to people's stories.
And what about the highlights? Can you pick some highlights of all these years?
Highlights. Well, actually, there was one lovely one with the we do go off, don't we? We do see each other occasionally because we do different days.
Yeah, because
we don't
split the
see
week.
each other very often. But when we do a week on a farm, which we have done in the past, we have a lovely time together, and we're all there. The whole team is there for a week. There was a lovely week we spent in the Brecon Beacons for lambing. And it was extraordinary to be there for a whole week and follow the lambing process.
It's rather quiet where I am, and that is in the lambing shed on Newton Farm in the Brecon Beacons. This whole operation here is being run overnight by just one extremely competent 18-year-old. His name is Tudor Roderick. He's the son of Helen and Richard Roderick, who own the farm. Let's go and meet him.
Where are we starting this morning?
In here there's a ewe that's just brought one lamb, and she's in lamb for twins. So there's one still inside her that we'll let her bring forward, and I'll keep a close eye on her, and if there's a problem I will have to intervene.
The ewes are scattering. Tudor is racing round the pen with his shepherd's crook to catch this ewe. Just inspecting that lamb inside her, just to see which way it's lying. This is in a pen with maybe 70 ewes in it, and he spied this one in amongst a whole flock and knew that it needed a bit of help.
I could tell that something wasn't quite right, and the first lamb was coming backwards, and she's not the biggest of ewes, but she's got two big lambs there.
Very big lambs. That boy Tudor, he was amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
I can't imagine. 18, in charge of all those animals.
And completely across it at all times, wasn't he?
He was. It was fantastic.
In direct contrast, really, we did spend a week on a fruit farm, and you got really excited about a robot.
It's getting dark, the stars are coming out, but also coming out in the strawberry fields are these small archways on wheels, robots. And I have to say, it is one of the strangest things I've ever seen. These archways, which are about 6.5 feet high with big wheels on the bottom. Inside are lights which will light up. And as the archway travels over the strawberries, which are on their platforms inside the polytunnels, it will be doing something very special to the plants.
They were anti-mildew robots, as I remember.
They were. They had UV light of a description that meant we had to wear goggles. But I was so excited because it was night time and they were robot controlled. So they were like these little animals coming out at night to come and look after the strawberries. It was quite delightful, really. I know, I get whimsical occasionally. I'm usually going, at baby animals, I remember pygmy goats eating my microphone cover, things like that. But, I was quite taken with them.
I think we should make it clear that you're not retiring. You've done 30 years, but you're still going.
I know.
Next?
I am not... Yes, what's next? I think we continue what we're doing. We've got so much coming up. This land use impact of all the different things that land has to do now and the way we're going to handle that. We've got a lot of stories to do. However, I'd like to do some more lyrical stuff as well. Do you know, one of the first programmes I did was a half hour about field names. And it was called Toadpipe Meadow and Custard Styles. And it was lovely because it brought the history of the land in, why fields are called certain things. It brought in the traditions of farming, and it brought in a bit of poetry as well. And it was just wonderful having the freedom to make a programme like that.
And people wonder why we say we have the best job on the BBC.
We certainly do. Yes, we do.
Tell no one. Anna Hill, thank you very much. Here's to the next 30.
Thank you.
And that's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Beatrice Fenton. And Farming Today this week is a BBC Audio Bristol production.